So this is the shiplap I'm going to be used for the walls, and I just get this from Home Depot. And the nice thing is it's 12-foot length, which is long enough to cover the whole length of the van. A little bit extra actually. So first thing I'm going to do is put in the top piece, and just have to make, top piece is going to be the hardest basically, because I got to make a bunch of notches and then cut out for that little bump over there probably too. Before I put the first piece in, it's a little bit easier to cover this piece now, and I use some carpeting to do that. So I'm going to cut this down to size, and then we can use some 3M spray adhesive to put it in. So I think we can pull this piece out, make a little bit of room. It's pretty hard to cut such a long length like this, so I set up the saw on an angle like that, and it should make it a little easier putting it in the van like this. It's right at the right height. Alright, I think I finally got the first piece cut down the size. It's just kind of tacked up there, it's not up there yet. And I wish I could tell you that this was an easy one to cut, but this has taken me about an hour to cut. It's like crazy. So I had to rip the top part of the tongue and groove off along the whole thing, and then make all the little notches and notch here. And I'm going to pull this off and put a piece of carpet right in that one spot, and then there'll be a cabinet there covering that, so you're not actually going to see that when everything's done. That's the only spot that's kind of protruding. So I'm just going to pull that off real quick. We'll put a piece of carpet there with the spray adhesive, and I should finally get this going. Once the first row is in nice and straight and everything the right way, the rest of it's really easy to put in. And normally with tongue and groove, you'd start at the bottom and work your way up, but it's just going to be a little easier to do it this way, because I knew this piece was going to be such a hard cut. I wanted to start with this one. So now I just have it tacked up there with one screw, and I'm going to go through and put 2 screws on each one and countersink each hole. So eventually I'll pull that screw out, countersink it, and put that screw back in. Alright, I'm going to be honest with you guys, I think I screwed up. You really need to start this from the bottom and work your way up, because of the way the shiplap goes in there. It doesn't really go in from the bottom. You have to put this piece on and then one on top of it and so forth. But it took such a long time to cut this piece right that I'm going to try and take some measurements so that I could start the first row at a point where I'll still be able to use the top piece. And I think that's going to be the best way to do it. So make sure you start from the bottom. I think what I did last time, I just took a measurement 6 inches off the ground, made a mark on each board, and then put the first piece there like that. That was a lot easier to do it that way. And you don't put the bottom piece in yet. You wait for your finished floor to be in, then you put the last piece in on the bottom over the finished floor. So you always start your first piece a little bit off the ground. Alright, I got the bottom piece in. So each piece should go in a lot easier now, because they'll just rest right on top of this, so I won't have to hold it up while I'm screwing it in. And then we'll build our way up, and it should line up perfectly with this one. Now I need to connect everything on the left side of the wheel well. I made my measurement here. Same bit, and don't forget, you don't want to cover this up, so I made a cutout for that. That's the air release when you slam the doors, so the doors can close easily, and that'll go just like that. I also have to add this piece of framing here, so we have something to screw into. Once I put this piece in, I should be able to connect everything around the top here. Alright, now that fits in there good. I've been stuffing a little bit of insulation in the low spots, and before I screw this one in, I'll put a little bit of wood glue on each one of the furring strips so we don't get any squeaking when we're driving. that I got the first few rows in, the next thing I do is the cutout for the bed. And the way this is going to work, it's going to go in here. It's going to get screwed to that metal piece, this metal piece. And then over here I need to add this wood backer. So I've pre-drilled some holes. It's going to go, I've already made the line where it needs to go. It's going to get screwed in just like that. And then I'll use the nail gun to fasten it like that. The other thing to think about is where to start this, because I'm going to want to make sure it's at the same level as these, because there's going to be a piece coming in this way. So what I'll do is I'll put this scrap piece here, and then I can take a square and make sure it all lines up. This is now screwed in right at the correct height. I've got some wood glue behind here, and then this one, it's a little easier just to hit it with a nail gun and screw it in. Also, as we go, we'll just stuff some insulation in here. So right at this point here, we've got this next piece coming, and I have to decide the height to make the bed cutout. I know I want to clear this rounded part here. This piece is going to go in like that. So basically, I'm going to make the height of the bed cutout right to the maximum amount, which is going to be right there where you won't see this rounded part. So we'll take that measurement, and that's where we'll cut this next piece. Got the first piece. This is cut at a 3-degree angle here. Fits in perfectly. Then I could just take my pencil, mark the back, cut it right there, work my way up. So that fits in there like that, and then at the end we'll have a little corner molding piece that'll go around everything to cover up these seams. Okay, now both sides are done, and then I just need to do the same thing up here on the top. So we'll put a nailer right back here, and then we'll put a few more pieces across. Actually, we can do one big piece all the way across, and then like I said, there'll be a corner molding covering this like that, and not on the bottom, because the bed's going to be coming over like that to cover that. Alright, so that side's pretty much done now. And now moving over to this side, I'm actually going to make a change with the framing here. So if you watch my framing video, then sorry about that. Because the way I have it set up right now, there's just going to be too much of a gap by the doorway here. So what I'm going to need to do to change that is remove this piece here and this piece here. The one on the bottom's good, that could stay. But when I remove this and that one, then this piece here will push further in, and that'll give me a cleaner look. So now I'm going to have to start disassembling pretty much everything. Remove the two pieces that are behind the boards, and then screw everything back in directly into the metal. Alright, well that was a bunch of work. but I've successfully moved everything in. Now I think it should be a lot easier. Went ahead and made a little mark on each beam at 5 inches so I can match it exactly to the other side. And that's where I'll start the bottom row, or the second to bottom row, like I did over here. Coming over here, you can see I added a little bit of this weather stripping, and I just used some 3M spray adhesive, put it up there. That's going to give it a little bit better of a finished look so you don't see the metal behind the wood here. Alright, walls are pretty much done. So we're just going to use this and fill all the screw holes, then sand it down, and then it'll be ready for paint. So remember, like I said, we're not going to put the bottom row in now, but I am just kind of cutting them and leaving them loosely in place just so I have them so I don't need them later. But you want the finished floor down first, and then the last piece goes right over it nice and tight. Alright, we're finally ready for the very last piece. Okay, so that's pretty much it for now. Now later on I'll have a molding that'll come around here like this, but I can't put that on yet until I put the bed in, which is going to come over here, and then the molding will come down onto the plywood on the bed. That'll make it easier than having to cut around the molding with the bed, so you'll just have to stay tuned for that one. So just to recap, the bottom pieces are just cut, but they're not in place yet because the finished floor needs to go down first. Then you can put those pieces in on top. So hold off on that for a little bit, but stay tuned. We'll get to that in the next episodes. That little bump out right there will be covered by a cabinet, so you won't see that. I'm pretty happy with the way this came out. Let me know what you guys think. Stay tuned for the next episodes, but be sure to hit the subscribe button and also the notification bell. And I'll see you guys next time. Thanks a lot. Bye.